So it's all encompassing. So I've spoken to mothers that have experienced, the surgical issues, but they've also experienced infertility. They've also experienced loss. They've also experienced just unimaginable situations to give birth in. They've experienced issues with boundaries with family members. They've experienced issues with, work and being able to juggle basically working like you have no child and parenting like you have no job, like trying just to be in the middle of that. I'm talking to paint a full picture of what motherhood is. So I've spoken with pelvic floor physical therapists. I've spoken with maternal health therapists. I've spoken to employers that are changing the landscape of their environment to accommodate working mothers. I'm talking to, different people that have put, like, for example, if you go to Fenway Park, there's like a mother's station so people can go in and just breastfeed and not have to worry about it. There are so many different ways that mothers are impacted in 2023. So this is a full picture. It's not just, one piece or the other. It's trying to, put it all together. I had a family member recently, a very, very close family friend. God, I love him. He sat down and he goes, "So, Miss Emmalyn, I need to ask you, what is so hard about being a mom? What is so hard about, in this generation? What's so difficult about it?" And
was he asked? I'll let you finish before I say my thoughts.
No, he was genuine.
Oh, okay.
Because at first when he said it, I had this look on my face and I was just like,
"Sorry,
are we gonna do this?" I was like,
the blood was boiling. I was like, is he being facetious? Because I am about to find his home address.
When it came out, I was like, breathe deep.
Yeah.
Inhale, love, exhale, fear.
Yes, exactly.
Do not fight someone today. But when he first asked, I was just like, oh my gosh, like my anxiety started going up because I was like, what is so hard? And I was like, but
let me tell you what's so hard.
Right. And the funny thing was, I got ready to answer and then I realized I didn't have one. I didn't have one concrete answer.
Well, it's not.
Because it's not one thing. And I thought about it and I paused for a second when he asked me. And once I got over the initial fear and shock of, is this genuine? I looked at his eyes and he was genuinely being kind and asking this question. He was like, I don't understand. And my daughter just gave birth. I don't understand. Tell me what is so hard. And I was like, well, I thought about it for a minute and the answer that makes the most sense to say is societal expectations, right? If you think about it, after you give birth, you get 1 6-week checkup. You know how many checkups I had when I had my pancreatic tumor removed? Do you know how many checkups you have when you have other surgery? One.
Right.
One postpartum checkup to be like, are you okay? And one little checklist that says, are you sad? Do you want to kill yourself? Do you want to kill your baby? No, then you must be fine. No. So true. There's not enough care. So I've gone to the State House to advocate for, additional maternal health. We want to have more than one postpartum visit. We want one mandatory maternal mental health visit to really actually do a check-in more than a checklist at a doctor. We want to have pelvic floor PT be mandatory. So these are the things that I'm fighting for. And when he asked me that question, I thought about all those things. And after I was able to say, it's society expecting women to get up and bounce back like nothing happened, and to do this seamlessly and effortlessly, when, mind you, there's a grace period when you get a new job. This is a new job, raising a human. Yeah. It is the hardest job in the world. And it's funny, when I thought about, what I wanted to do, being a journalist and a mom, I was always like, I want to work full time, and I wouldn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. It would bore me.
But were you wrong?
Let me tell you, I now stay home with my son during the day and run my business at the same time.
Yeah.
My days are busy, but I've never been happier.
Good.
It's the challenge I didn't know, was a perfect balance. I laugh at my younger self, though, being like, it would be so boring. It would be so boring. Ma'am.
Not at all.
Younger me is getting a good laugh.
Yeah. But it's so, I think the way that what you said sort of made this analogy in my head, because I think it's so true. You have the 6-week appointment and that's it, right? But then once the baby's here, they're doing what? 6-week appointments, 1 month all the way to 6 months, 1 year. Like it sort of is that transition from the mom and now the baby becoming the priority. And I think that like, not that of course the baby shouldn't be. I'm not saying that like we shouldn't be making sure the baby is healthy, but it's like if that doesn't sum up sort of this, we instantly as mothers sacrifice our priorities, our needs to put the baby first. And you lose, I think that there's like little pieces of you, not that it's like new amazing pieces don't come in and fill the gaps, but there are pieces of you that go away or don't get less attention. And so it's also this sense of just not feeling whole and not feeling like the you that you know and that you recognize. And then you have these moms that just all of a sudden look like they never had a baby after 1 month, and you feel the pressure of this and of that. And then also here we are, women we want our jobs, we want equal pay, we want this. And then, okay, well, do I sound like I'm contradicting myself if I show any sort of sign of weakness? So I'm just supposed to keep pushing. And that is just unbearable.
Literally all of that is the reality of motherhood in 2023.
It's unbearable.
It is. I struggled with like all of that. And I look at these moms that I talk to now, and it's unthinkable, because the shame and guilt that a mom feels when she's late to work, but she's supposed to be raising literally the next generation. Mm-hmm. Yet she's rushing off to drop that screaming child off somewhere who really and truly needs her to go to work. And maybe that's her dream, is to have this career. But could you imagine a world where that mom could sit and soothe that tantrum with all the patience and time in the world to get that baby prepared, know they're safe and loved when they go into that building, and then go to work and be like, hey, I've handled my business. Now let me just like do an amazing job. But instead, I think a lot of people walk around with that anxiety of, no, you can't make mommy late because mommy can't use her job because then she won't be able to afford the bills, and then she won't. Can we just try to be understanding? Like, these are the people that are raising the next generation that very well may work at your company. Mm-hmm. Can you just give them some grace? And, you know, I'm lucky. I have had some fantastic employers since I've given birth. I have also had employers with super high expectations where I literally just like was not sleeping. And you just think about it. And when I talk to these moms, I'm just like, yeah, guys, I think we need to band together. This is bullshit. Like, yeah, it is.
So the documentary is following along in this process. And I mean, if these accommodations that you're working towards, hopefully being able to have, you know, put into execution and implementation, that could make major changes to help move towards hopefully that dynamic that we're looking for, that balance of I just a little bit of grace, a little bit of understanding and leniency. And it's hard right now, but when will you expect, hopefully, to have everything finalized, and when will people be able to see it where?
So we are in production right now. This should be wrapped, I would imagine, by fall of 2023. I'm hitting my cutoff date for filming as October, so I'm trying to get as many injuries in there. This should be ready to air in January of 2024. So basically late 23, early 2024. It is something that it's myself, and then I have Lindsay Crane is a videographer working with me, as well as Eric Snyder. So I have this small little team that I just love so much. They're amazing. And we're putting this together, and I'll be editing it once it's finished. It will be going on YouTube. So it'll be going on my YouTube channel. From there, we will be sending it to basically as many film festivals as possible. The point really is to give people a full picture of the reality of motherhood and really advocate strongly for that change. There is genuinely no reason I can think of why we can't have at least another pelvic floor PT visit, one visit that's covered completely with a maternal mental health therapist, and have at least one, if not two more postpartum visits. I remember part of the reason I'm advocating is because right after I gave birth, I felt pain. Mm-hmm. And I reached out and they said, well, we just did your surgery. We're not the right doctor. And I reached out to my OBG and they said, well, we didn't do the surgery. I'm not the right doctor. And so you're like, well, who do I go to? So I'm messaging and I'm speaking up and I'm trying, and they're like, well, take a little bit more Advil if you feel pain. This is normal. This is normal. My mom that had several C-sections was like, Emma, I don't know why you're not bouncing back. I don't know what's wrong. Like, you just need to suck it up and like go for a walk. And I remember her meaning well by that, but she didn't understand the pain I was feeling. And finally, when I got to go and talk to I went to my old OBGYN that I like hadn't seen in a while. I was like, what's up? I went to you a while ago. Please, you're the only person I think will hear me. And she listened and she said, you need pelvic floor PT. You have 4-finger diastasis recti. You have scar tissue damage and nerve damage and a weak bladder, basically. So she was like, look, like you have a lot of like damage to your body. You need PT. That in and of itself, the fact that I had to jump through hoops to figure that out, you know how many moms aren't? You know how badly their mental health is impacted because they're not? Do you know how much that would change if one person just sat down with them and said, hey, truly, this isn't something where I'm just going to sit you down and say you're cleared to drive, you're cleared to exercise. Like, I was cleared to exercise and I could barely lift my kid. Wow. So imagine if I'm the one staying home taking care of him all day, what that feels like.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how discouraging it is when you feel like something's off, yet no one's listening to you, no one's giving you a solution, no one's offering you an opportunity to explain or ask questions. So I can imagine how it might be, someone might resort to just being like, okay, well, I guess I'll push through. I guess I'll just figure it out on my own, right? And they kind of give up because they feel defeated. So good for you for not letting that happen, because clearly, I don't know if it would have ever healed up on its own. It doesn't sound like it, but if it could have, it certainly wouldn't have happened as quickly as it did if you hadn't gone and gotten the help that you needed and taken care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure. I mean, I still go to PT to this day, right? It's been 2 years, but that's the other surgery as well.
Yeah.
So it's, I heard that story enough times on different mom groups that I just finally decided, you know what? I have the skills, I have the resources, I can share these stories. I'm just going to do it. Like, if you want something done right, do it yourself. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to make a documentary. So pulling it together and just doing it. And yeah, here we are. So I'm so happy I am, because when I talk to these moms, like, just to have someone else validate that experience for them, they're like, wow, this isn't just me. Thank you. And I'm like, yeah, girl, I got you. I wish more people like would talk about this more often. And I think that's the community that, a lot of us are gravitating towards, are open, honest. There are a lot of influencers that speak out about it. There are a lot of like mom advocates that speak out on social media. And I think a lot of people are gravitating towards that because we need it. Like, the more people that shout from the rooftops about postpartum, mental health, physical health, just maternal health care in general, the more people that speak up, like, please, the better.